Hey there, chat. How we doing? Hope everyone is doing good. Welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody. There we go. Hey, how you going, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, 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 everybody. We got something a little special, a little different today. We're going to be talking about Successor chapters. This is going to be a super chill stream, very super. Just relax, talking a little bit about Successors, and then a little idea I had. Now, you may be seeing the Black Void. Don't worry, that won't be there for long. Let me just activate it. Oh, that's the wrong one. Give me a second, chat. He has a face. I do indeed have a face, sire. That is indeed who I am. Behold, the face. Immaculate stash, brother. Appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate that. You guys shouldn't be seeing that. Why is that not picking up? I wonder. I'm trying to get this slideshow working. I made slides for y'all, so don't worry. Why is my face gone? My face has disappeared. Oh no. Oh, that's diabolical. Chat, don't worry, chat. Don't worry. Chat, we're currently experiencing technical difficulties, so do not worry. Everything will be fine, chat. I promise. There we go, we're back. See? I told you. I told you. Hey! SWAT how you doing, my brother? Yeah, go ahead. Everyone say hi to SWAT. We did an awesome call-up video. It should be linked there. We talk about, Space Marine Allegiance to 40k. Amazing. Awesome. Top quality content. You like it? Go check it out. You know what? All right, we're gonna have to do this weird. All right. It will not pick. Sure. We're gonna have to do this. All right, chat. This is what you're gonna end up seeing. Is a little scuffed. Oh God. No. Oh wait, chat. You're not supposed to. There we go. Every time praying to the Omnissiah because of maintenance. You know what? I didn't burn the incense today, alright? I did in fact not burn the incense. So perhaps that's the reason why. Alright, so this is what you guys can see now. It is very scuffed. I won't lie. But it gets the point across. Now, I'm going to just quickly hide this for a quick second because it's kind of scuffed, I'm not gonna lie. It's bugging me, chat. I won't lie. It's bugging me like a goddamn hell. So let me see if I can fix that. It's professional, chat, don't worry. Alright, we're gonna be fine. But I can multitask. We're talking about successors. In the meantime, drop down below what is your favorite successor chapter. Could be any successor, could be first founding, Primaris founding, Ultima founding, any goddamn thing between. You tell me, what is your favorite? Blood Angel. I don't think Blood Angels are a successor chapter. My favorite successor is my own homebrew. You know what? That's fair. That's fair. I won't lie. Alright, this is... Okay, I just need to... Sometimes as long as you get the point across, it works. You know what? I like that energy. We're just gonna do that then. Alright, don't worry, chat. Let me just... Where is that guy? That guy needs to go over here. There we go. You guys can see... You're seeing behind the scenes stuff, chat. You're seeing behind the scenes stuff, so I hope you guys appreciate that. All the way down there. Okay. Good. Right. Is there a Biginator button? No. What's up? What does this do? That's a film strip. I don't want that. Professional content, chat. Professional content. Is that full screen? There we go. Found it. See? I told y'all. I told y'all I would find it. Eventually. Maybe. Kinda. I don't know. Me personally, this is new. But without any further ado, actually my camera is okay, hold on, chat. We're almost done. Omnissiah be willing, chat. Omnissiah be willing. Let me just make this bastard a little bit tinier. Actually, hold on. Oh wait, I can bring him down here. All right. There we go. Should be fine. Well met, brother. Hey, Lotosarius! How you doing, my brother? Appreciate you. You want to do a video on the lore of your own homebrew lore? I better make your own. I actually have. Yeah, I have. I created Carthage in Warhammer 40k. There's a video on the channel. It's like Carthage in Warhammer 40k. And I also did a video about homebrewing in general. There we go. And yeah. So if you are ever curious, you want to go and check it out, by all means, check it out. But in today's stream, we're going to be talking about successor chapters. Was the clapping necessary? Absolutely not. But it was fun, chat. It was fun. And that is what matters at the end of the day. So, what is a successor chapter? Many people have many different questions. But successor chapter simply is a 1,000-man formation based on the Codex Astartes penned by the great Lord Guilliman himself, descendant from the 9 Loyalist Space Marine legions. Now, these are very, very important to Warhammer 40k. For those who don't know, the original lore of Warhammer 40k, their legions were just an idea. YouTube is getting too uncomfortable and Skipper Lads keeps forcing me in. Look, there's nothing I do about that, bro, man. YouTube is YouTube right now, yeah? So, hey, YouTube does what YouTube do. I'm just trying to be the man to make some good content for y'all. But during the original founding of Warhammer 40k, the legions were, the legions in the Horus Heresy, that was not a concrete thing. It only really became a concrete thing with Horus Rising when that came out in 2011. So before, the legions were this ethereal idea that everyone was founded from, and there used to be hundreds of tens of thousands of Space Marines, rather than just 1,000 that we're normally known for. So, it's one of those things where, now if you guys are a bit bothered with the ads, don't worry. The VOD of this will be uploaded onto the VOD channel. So if you guys are a bit bothered with the ads, don't worry. The VOD of this will be uploaded onto the VOD channel. we have a VOD channel, by the way, or we're going to have a VOD channel, but don't worry, right? Don't worry. Yeah, but Space Marine chapters were the be-all and end-all. We didn't know anything about the Horus Heresy. We didn't know anything about the Legions. Chapters were the main thing here, and it's what made them so incredibly pivotal, right? Because no one really knew what the Salamander's Legion was. We had the chapter, and we assumed that the chapter was like the Legion, but there was always that little question mark right there, yeah? So, these chapters were the end-all and be-all for the longest time. No one really understood what the Legion was like. So it was like a question of, how Legion was a chapter. So then that's why chapters became so incredibly important. And that's also why the Badab War, which was one of the earliest forms of lore in it, it's the Ball Terror made HR so angry they set everybody up. That is true. That's literally what happened. But yeah, the Badab War was the Horus Heresy before the Horus Heresy. I may do a video about the Badab War. Let me know down below if that's something you guys want. But it's one of those things where the idea of Huron making the Astral Claws 4,000 strong was such an incredible, maddening idea, right? That was like, oh my god, what are you doing, fam? That never happened before. So the idea of being more than 1,000 was just anathema to us, right? So there's that. Now some of you may be thinking, oh, okay, so chapters, but what about like warbands and all that? Well, that's because the Chaos equivalent would be the warband, and by and large has no consistent rules. The chapter is based on the Codex Astartes. Gilliman liked his rules, that much we all do know. Chaos, though, in its warbands, no rules at all. A Chaos warband is the equivalent to a chapter, and can be anything and everything underneath the bloody sun. Could be a couple hundred, could be 10, could be thousands, it could be whatever, right? It really didn't matter. It depended on the charisma of the dude at the time, and how powerful he was, how terrible he was, how charismatic he was. It just didn't matter, right? And that was done on purpose so that, hey, the Imperium, somewhat structured, somewhat ordered. Chaos, nothing. None of that. Simple nothing. Listening to this as I work out, I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate it. Not gonna lie, I'm not someone who can really listen to like audiobooks and stuff when I work out. It has to be like music, like loud music, big, thick, chunky stuff, right? Hey, but if this helps you get through that PR set, hey, my boy, here for you. Appreciate it, Chief. Hell yeah, that war gives a good look into what Space Marines can't go bad. Can go bad. Oh yeah, but that war is very underrated. Because it kind of gets overshined by the Horus Heresy. Oh, good lord. Because it kind of gets overshined by the Horus Heresy. Because, as I said, the Horus Heresy, or the Badab War rather, was the Horus Heresy before the Horus Heresy. And then having the Horus Heresy, everyone just kind of forgot about the Badab War. Would the Black Legion be seen as a warband with warbands inside it, like Matryoshka Godols? Yeah, kind of. So, the Black Legion is unique in that it's, for the longest time, it technically still is the only, like, Legion, quote-unquote, that's still around. Because the whole point of Abaddon is that he wanted to take all the outcasts, all those disillusioned with their parent legions, and kind of give them a place for the Legion to be a whole, right? So, for the Black Legion is rather decentralized, but it's the most centralized thing we have in 40k. But there are still many different warbands within them that have the ability to work. But what a lot of people forget about the Black Legion is that when legions in Warhammer 40k, during the Horus Heresy, when they operated, very, very rarely did they operate as one big, strong, tanky legion. More often than not, they were individual companies or chapters, being anywhere from 100 to 10,000 man strong, depending on the legion. So Abaddon basically does the same thing. He has his roughly 1,000-ish warbands, not actually, but for argument's sake, right? He has them running around doing whatever. But when the Legion calls, they will return to a full Legion, a la the Black Crusades, right? That's the main difference. Expand my knowledge as I grow my muscles. Hey, that's that good shit right there. I appreciate that. The Badab War, in my opinion, is a reminder of the potential negative consequences of having chapters start their own beliefs. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. The Badab War is a thing of hey, here's the Imperium's biggest issue. the fact that it decentralizes and that it delegates way too much of its own things, at the same time not caring nearly enough as they should about who's doing what and what's going on. If the Imperium gave just a little bit of a fuck, right, they could have seen what was going on with Abaddon. And during that, they would have changed it, they would have done something different, that it could have been prevented, right? That's the idea behind it. But, you know, that's beside the point. Successor chapters. Yeah, warbands do whatever they want. They depend on whatever. The Black Legion are the exception to that rule. Their warbands go out and they perform their mini missions, but when Horus calls, they will answer. Right, that's the end all and the be all. But then going back to successor chapters. Right, why are successor chapters such a good thing? You know, because it begs the question, why successor chapters? Why are they 1,000 men strong? And why do they exist? Right, because we know the reason for them existing from a out of lore standpoint, or from a lore standpoint rather. Guilliman and his codex, he was very shooketh by the Legion Wars. He wanted to separate the powers of the Primarch until things cooled down. Right? That's what Guilliman wanted to do. Fun fact, the Codex Astartes was a stopgap solution. It was never meant to be the final be-all and say-all, but Bobby G kind of got stopped by that because he got cut by the sexy snake. So, you know, that went to hell in a handbasket. I think the only times legions really worked together as one cohesive force during the Great Crusade was during the Rang Dang Xenocides. Yeah, that's completely fair. The very rarely did legions work together as a whole entity. It was only during really bad major campaigns, a la the Rang Dang Xenocides, the war against the Harad, major invasions, Olanor as well was a big one. These big capital moments that really just like, oh my god, we need men. I need dudes. Like, all the dudes. Give me all the men, please. Pause. But it's one of those things where, like, why is Successor Chapters such a good thing outside of lore? And that's because the main reason, it gives people a reason to make their own custom Space Marines, right? Maybe you like the Ultramarines, but you like a red color scheme, a la the Blood Angels, red and gold. Maybe that's your cup of tea. Cool. You have a Successor Chapter, they're Ultramarine themed, but their color scheme is red and gold. You can make anything. And that's something that really did allow the creativity, because initially, 40k was a hobby. It was a hobby, and the hobby has always been a core part of 40k, but recently, being a hobbyist and owning minis has not really been pushed to the side, but become secondary to the main hobby, which is now the IP, right? The universe of 40k. Back in the day, to be a 40k fan, you had to buy the codexes, you had to paint the minis, that's what you had to do. Nowadays, to be a 40k fan, I play Vermintide, I play Darktide, I play Space Marine 2. I saw a meme about them, right? That's it. Damn, that old meme. Yeah, but a fun fact, that's actually how I got into 40k. I saw a meme about, it was like a bunch of Ultramarines in the background. It's like, be ready, brothers, they come for our virginity. Like something dumb like that, right? And I thought the meme was like kind of funny, but I love the big chunky armored men. And I'm like, yo, big armored men, what is this? I remember I googled Warhammer 40k, right? And then clicked on the page. I was like, oh, you know, that's a Space Marine. And there's Chaos Space Marine. Like, what's a Chaos Space Marine? It was found during the Horus Heresy. Oh, okay, Horus Heresy. And then I started reading. And I'm reading for like 15 minutes, like, damn, this is the basic summary? And then I was like, okay, how long is this thing? And then I scroll, and I kept on scrolling for sort of like 2 minutes. I'm like, holy shit! Why is there so much shit here? Why is this? Why is this the way that it is? There's so much shit here. And I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I was like, nah, fam, this shit is cooked. Circa like, that was when I was like 17. That was like 8 years ago, give or take. And it's a fucking job now, mate. In addition to like being a VA and shit, but it's like diabolical. I'm a 40k fan, but exactly, right? You just need to consume the IP, and before the barrier to entry for the hobby was so very high, but with the advent of YouTubers and everything, it really did allow the barrier to entry get lower and lower and lower. Books as well really did help that. When I was first getting into the lore, I thought the memes were mostly true and Gilliman was married to Yvain. I wish. Okay. Alright. Listen. Never in a billion years should GW ever make the Gilliman x Yvraine romance canon in any way, shape, or form. If they do that, that will unironically harm 40k lore in a massive, massive way. Never do that, alright? That being said, I love that meme. I love that meme with every little ounce of blood that I have in my heart because it's adorable. It's fun, and it's cute, and it's stupid. It's stupid. It is stupid. I will say that. But I like it. It's my guilty pleasure. Alright? Don't judge me, okay? That is my guilty pleasure of Warhammer 40k. the Yvraine x Gilliman memes. I love it because it's adorable. Because like Gilliman is like so like straight-laced and organized, right? And y'all forget, Yvraine was a gladiatrix for like the Dark Elder for a bit. She freaky. She hella freaky, my boy. Simple as. Wiki rabbit hole, 8 hours. That's literally how it happened. The Wiki rabbit hole, 8 hours later. Waifu for the lion. Okay, you know. God, well, what would be the lion's waifu, right? Because it's a meme that Russ has like a Zinchian demon that he bagged in the warp. Then there's also a meme about the Khan and how he just has like a harem of Dark Elder because it's the Khan. If anyone could get an Elder, like Dark Era, Dark Elder harem, it would be him. I want the Celestine, it's Greyfax, Sapphic Romance, a warmer book. There's this cheesy romance novel about this two trying to be... That shouldn't be an official GW novel. But if this was a fan project that someone paid for, I would buy that in a heartbeat because I love shit like that. Again, that is not what 40k is about. That should not be part of the 40k fandom officially. But, hear me out. If there was a thing of like that little comic book filled with cute little romances about shit like that, I would buy that in a heartbeat. I need you to understand. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Why? Because I adore shit like that. I absolutely adore. Best 40k romance is canon. I'm like, oh, 100%. Easily. Like nothing at all. The little dudes in the brown robes, the things I feel. No. Those are the Watchers and the Dog. Those are like the Lion's kids canonically. Well, not canonically, right? But he looks after them. Alright, there's little buddies. Alright, don't be putting that nonsense there. Yeah. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but somebody is absolutely banging some music outside right now. Like, wow, someone is having a good time outside. I don't know what he's on, but goddammit do I wish that I had some of that, right? Alright, but why Successor chapters? And it's still going. You know, I'm just going to wait for this dude to like, you know what, my brother? Wait, it stopped. Alright, that was weird. No. Alright, so it stopped, then it started, then it stopped. I don't know if y'all can hear this. If y'all can't hear this, then I guess this is just me being me. But it is what it is. Although I would love to see one romance between Kane and Christine. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Christine is solid. That is fair. We don't hear anything in the background. Oh, okay, well then that... Man, the VOD is gonna be wild in that, right? There's someone banging out some music like that. So, you know, there's that. So, whatever. South Africa, my boy, there's always a party somewhere. Hey! Talk. Preach, my boy. Preach. Goddamn. Man, the VOD's gonna be wild. Anyway, why is Successor chapter such a good thing? They allow the differences of the Legion to shine through. And that is one thing that everyone... A misconception, right? About Space Marine Legions. And that's that, you know... Let me just shift my mic a little bit. And that's that, you know, White Scars, super fast. All they do is speed, right? And that's all that is. The Salamanders, super durable infantry, heavy armor. That's all they have, right? Nothing else. That's it. But that's not true. The White Scars had Dreadnought formations. They had super heavy formations. The Raven Guard had super heavy formations. The Salamanders, they had scout formations. They had fast assault formations. They had jet bite formations. Because the Legion had to be capable to do basically anything. If a Legion specialized in a particular form of fighting, that meant that they specialized in it. That didn't mean that it was absent from it. You take a look at legions that despise destroyer formations. Gilliman being one deal with the Ultramarines and Vulcan with the Salamanders, right? They still had destroyers, both in the Nemesis chapter and the Pyroclast, respectively. They still existed. They were still a thing. And that is something that a lot of people forget. They existed, they had their own unique stuff, and they had the tools necessary. Like, Raven Guard had siege artillery and static artillery formations. They didn't have a lot of them, but they did have them. And with the breaking up of the chapters, you can see the different formations of the legions. You can see how they expand, how they change, and it just allows you to gain that insight, right? Because, again, another thing that people don't understand is, like, these chapters, they had their own, like, traditions and cultures behind them, right? Because you had the Legion of the Ultramarines, which was the main body, but, like, the 7th Company, let's say, of the 13th chapter, they had their own unique stuff, right? They were their own thing. They had their own battle honors. They had their own roles. They had their own nonsense, right? And, you know, that's that thing, right? Is that Pyroclast thing that Vulcan used to kill the Tiny Elder? No. The Pyroclasts are a unique formation of the Salamanders. That's basically their equivalent of Destroyer Marines, right? So Vulcan, for those who don't know, Vulcan abhorred Destroyer Marines. He hated the idea of completely ruining a planet. So he just decided, I'm not going to do that. But he recognized that he needed destroyer formations. So he created the Pyroclasts, which were a unique formation. They had master-crafted artificer armor, drake hide, like cloaks, as well as a Pyroclast projector, which is basically a combination of a heavy melter, of a multi-melter route. Oh, good lord. Which is basically a combination of a heavy flamer and a multi-melter in a hand-carried form. You know, special salamander tech, right? Dragon Boys only. So that's what they are. But, you know, as we'll see in some examples I have from you of the different legions, it's one of those things where, you know, when the legions split, the different formations were allowed to become their own unique chapters and thus really dove into that. You know, a prime example we have is the Soul Drinkers, right? Even though the Soul Drinkers technically were found out to be not the successors of Dawn, but the Soul Drinkers, they were said to be from the Shock Assault drop specialists of the Legion, so the Marine Boys, essentially. And lots of breaches and all that stuff. So their main combat tactic, despite being Imperial Fist Boys, was Shock Assault with orbital insertion, boarding, etc. Right, prime example. Pyroclastic, like the volcano thingy, exactly like the volcano thingy. That's why they're named that way, because salamanders, fire, big explosion, burning, all that nonsense, right? Yeah, so that's the main thing that Successor chapters are out to do. They're totally Dawn, wink wink. Lamau, I mean, I like the idea about it, but it's like, it kind of is confirmed in the book, but that's not the end of it. I have a full video on them, by the way, if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, it's one of those things where the differences of the legions and the uniqueness within the legions during the split up were allowed to become their own chapters, and those uniquenesses eventually spread out and become their own unique entities. Because that's the thing, right? Each chapter has some loyalty to their parent chapter, right? Each Ultramarine successor has loyalty to the Ultramarines, but it's not a case that they are willing to merge into the Ultramarines. They see themselves as relations to the Ultramarines, but they do not see themselves as Ultramarines. They are, Space Marines in general are fiercely independent, right? To them, their chapter has thousands of years worth of service and honors. And if you ask them, like, to strike that service and honors just to become something else, it's something that they're going to be like, yeah, wait, hold up, I'm not doing that, right? That's something that is not happening. And it's one of those things where they respect them to some degree, but they don't immediately follow their orders. They will show deference and reverence to them, but they will not just lay down and die. There are some chapters who are like that, and it's different, right? White Scars, generally speaking, have a bit more of a looser formation. Space Wolves as well. but something like the Ultramarines and the Dark Angels and Salamanders, very tight-knit when it comes to their relations with their successors. Ultramarines is a bit flippy-floppy sometimes. I've also heard that some successors of the Ultramarines are so weird because they pulled in Marines from adapted legions of those successor chapters over Gilliman shot them. That is a fan theory. It's a very popular fan theory. We don't really have... It's never been confirmed. There have been something akin to it being hinted to, but we don't really know. But I don't know how I feel about that, because it just feels a little... right? Because it's like... It kind of takes away from the Ultramarines and the Imperial Fist a little bit, if that makes sense. But I mean, it's a plausible theory. I'm not against it totally, but it's not my favorite. There should be a Monty Python Dark Angels chapter, which should be grim dark comedy. That sounds like something Tzeentch would do. Like just screwing around with a Dark Angel successor. Why? Cause Tzeentch. That's why. Funny as all hell. I just bought Space Marine 2. It's on deep discount, and also picked up the Ultramarine cosmetic pack, so it has the 60 chapters. Solid, dude. Space Marine 2, solid game. Can't really play it myself because it just makes my PC go boom. But hey, it is what it is. It should never be confirmed, of course, but it's a funny theory to hint at in lore. Yeah, I would agree. It definitely is like a fun theory to look at, because it's like, oh, why are the Ultramarine... Like, for example, we have the Mortifactors on screen right now. These dudes engage in cannibalism. Ultramarine successes, by the way. But I much more prefer the idea that it's, you know, the Legion was so unique enough itself that without the overarching reining in of Gilliman and the Legion Command, the rest of the Legions were able to go out and do their own thing and be their own person, right? So yeah, I much prefer that theory. But hey, the Redacted Legion one, not a bad theory. Not a bad theory at all. But we're going to move on to the next one. Yeah, it also allows unique Space Marine cultures and traditions to develop, as I said. It changes, like, the way that things happen, and you can get a White Scar successor that likes defensive fighting, right? They're still the White Scars, so they're still going to be all about speed and shit, right? But then they, for one reason or another, have to fight defensively. There's still going to be a Codex Compliant chapter, there's going to have all that, but it changes them. And I really do love that about Space Marine chapters, when we see something that is different and unique. I sat Space Marine 2, hooray, my laptop said no. Literally, bro, that happened. It was so frustrating, because like, I met the requirements, like the minimum requirements, but when I tried to play it on stream the first time, I should have really tested that out, not gonna lie. It just didn't work. And I'm like, damn, big satch. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, it's one of those things where like, it allows unique Space Marine cultures to develop, and we get to see that Space Marines, whilst it's like you, right? You are your parents' kid, but you're still you. You're unique. It's the same way to do it, and personally, I love it. It's one of my favorite things. Yo, Smokey Pod just subscribed. Hey, welcome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, my brother. But I got some examples for you. And we're going to start off with the Ultramarines. Why? Because they are the biggest boys, and most chapters because of that. So, we have 2 chapters of the Ultramarines we're going to talk about. And this is directly in relation to chapters that were part of the Legion, that then allowed their own uniqueness to shine through when the Legion was split. I've always wondered, when you do a video about chapters and successors, work best with each other. Oh, that is an interesting idea. That is an interesting idea. I won't lie, that gives me some ideas. As a Lamentus fan, I have mixed feelings about the Mortifactors, but they still are cool. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, they are interesting. So, the Aurora chapter. The Aurora chapter was formerly the Ultramarines' 4th chapter. And we also have the Nemesis chapter, which is formerly the Ultramarines' 22nd chapter. These were individual chapters that existed during the Heresy. They came through the Heresy mostly intact, and when the Ultramarines were split up, they were decreed to essentially worthy enough, for lack of a better word, to be transformed to their own chapter. And it's interesting that we see, because the Aurorans are about armor. They're an Ultramarine successor, but they're all about heavy armor, fast-moving, hard-hitting, spear-thrusting action, right? They like to move fast, they like to hit hard, they like to punch hard. That's their shtick. But then you compose that to the Nemesis chapter. The Nemesis chapter are all about pure, unabashed, unbridled destruction. They like to punch hard, and that often causes collateral damage. That is what the Nemesis chapter is. Right? So, that begs the question, what would they like as their Ultramarine chapters? Exactly that. The Aurorans were the premier armored formation of the Ultramarines, whereas the Nemesis were the Nemesis Ultramarines destroyer formation. They focus on eradication and pure destruction. These were unique units within the Ultramarines. The Aurorans were the best tankers of the Ultramarines. The Nemesis were the destroyers of the Ultramarines. So, when they split up into chapters, of course they would take their own traditions with them. It makes sense. And again, this is a perfect example of uniquenesses and differences within a legion coming to the forefront as a chapter. Because the Ultramarines needed tankers. They needed destroyers. They weren't known for that, but they needed them, right? And that's what I said about the legions. You know, you take about the World Eaters, they had heavy armor, they had flight support, they had logistics, they had tactical marines and all that, same thing. So when you get to the breaking up of the legions, we then have these two incredibly unique formations that the Ultramarines aren't known for. They're not known for armored formations, they're not known for pure firepower and raw destruction. But they did possess elements of these. So when you need to form the Ultramarines chapter, you're going to take the core of the boys, but for the rest of them, hey, go off. Do your own thing. By all means, carry on. Crack on, lads. Simple as. And it's one of those things that I really do love, because it's the perfect example of that, right? It's the perfect example of, hey, you're a unique unit within your own legion, but now we need to become a chapter, so we're going to split off. And I really do adore it, because it just makes so much sense, right? You, like I said, you are your own person, you are unique. When you leave your parents' home, you then change and become your own person completely, right? Your final metamorphosization. I don't think I said that word right. Probably didn't, but to each their own. And yeah, it's really great. And you talk about the Aurorans, they were the premier armored formation of the Ultramarines, right? They were the best. So in their current chapter days, they got a reputation amongst Ultramarine successors for being a little snooty. Particularly, they had a spat with the Emperor's Spears, another Ultramarine successors, which were an Ultramarine successors that value melee combat, which is great. They have more assault squads and more melee. Their tactical squads are also really just more into fighting in like melee as well. They're okay with. Looking at the green color on the Ultramarines, it feels so heretical. Well, that's the thing, right? There is nothing in the lore that says that blue has to be the thing. To be fair, with the Nemesis chapter, they were originally black, so I don't know why they didn't change to black color scheme, to be frank. But with the Aurorans, they had a green Aurora badge, and that was actually a sign of ventrancy specific for that chapter. So it makes sense why they would then transform and change into a green color scheme, right? Salamanders and Donkey just giving these guys the stink eye. Well, I mean, no. There's no wings, there's no swords, there's no flames, there's no fires, there's no dragons, so I don't think they would mind. Is this VOD going to look at the second founding chapters or stuff from the later foundings and how they relate to the parent chapter and how they're created pre-Primaris? Kinda. It isn't really a, here's the full in-depth breakdown of that. It's more so of, what are successor chapters, here's some examples, and how do they relate. I will talk a little bit about the Ultima founding. I should probably explain that though. So, you guys hear the word founding thrown around a lot, but what exactly is a founding? Now, foundings, generally speaking, refer to when a group of Space Marine chapters are created. Now, the first founding, there's a bit of contention there, The first founding, many people believe to be the founding of the original legions on Terra by the Emperor of Mankind. That is widely considered to be the first founding. The second founding is then when, in the aftermath of the Horus Heresy, the legions were split into chapters. Though some people like to differentiate this by calling the first founding the legion founding and the second founding the chapter founding. But it really is unnecessary. It's semantics at that point. Are there any successor chapters of the Ultramarines that use an especially large number of flyers? Not to my knowledge, but I don't see why there wouldn't be. There's a lot of Ultramarine successors. So it's probably the case that they did. Because here's the thing. If you want like your Ultramarine successors to have, or any successor to have like a lot of stuff behind them, they basically have to be from the second or third founding. Because the problem is, those foundings were the closest to the heresy, and thus they had access to most of the Legion gear. Second founding chapters especially have a lot of relic tech to them. Not as much as the first founding, but they do have plenty. Same thing with third foundings. Not as much, for obvious reasons. But it's very unusual if you have like a 27th founding that all of a sudden has like Cataphractite Terminator armor. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Not really. It's like, right. But if you have like a third founding, second founding, they have like honorary suits. But then there's also the use of, those suits have so much emotional value because they were used by your legion to fight the Arch Traitor 10,000 years ago. And like, yeah, it's way better than the Indomitus pattern in terms of durability. But you ask yourself the question, is whatever edge 5 or 10 suits of Terminator armor really going to give you worth the chance of losing something that connects you to your parent chapter from 10,000 years ago? Right? When you put it into that type of context, it makes sense why relic suits aren't usually deployed, and when they are deployed, it's only by the first foundings and very, very, very rarely. You know, same thing with like tanks and other things, aircraft, etc. I will say, it does upset me a bit that GW very rarely likes to bring that up into actual lore. Because, prime example, the Dark Angels and Ultramarines have like several numbers of the Fellblade Glaive super heavy tanks. I think the Dark Angels have 7 and the Salamanders have 3, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. How many foundings have there been so far, and what's the current one? Truth be told, we don't know exactly how many, but it's believed that there's roughly 30 to 40 foundings, give or take. We don't really know, but it's roughly 30, give or take, or close to 30. The most recent one, though, is the Ultima Founding. The Ultima Founding is when we get the Primaris Marines. And, you know, that's when that happened, when Bobby G got resurrected, Call came back, and we got a bunch of new Space Marine chapters. That's the most recent one. Yeah, so foundings are interesting because they were never supposed to be a thing. There's some lore that we have from the older chapters that when the third founding happened, a lot of Space Marines were kind of shooketh. It's like, whoa, what? You're founding a third chapter? Like the chapter master of the Size of the Emperor was a third founding chapter, right? And then it's like, wait, you guys want me to found a third founding? Third? What happened to 2? Right? So it wasn't supposed to be something that's super common, but it just happened. Thanks for your insight. No worries, brother. You appreciate that. Hi, hello, welcome, my dear brother. How you doing, friendo? Mr. Arkham West, what's up, man? Hope you're doing good, brother. So yeah, it's interesting in the way that foundations work, but there's no set rules to them. They're all happenstance. They're all by accident. So it basically just comes down to a point of like, you know, shit's fucked. We need more Space Marines. But generally speaking, the high lords of Terra will be like, oh no, this is problem. create new Space Marine chapters. But creating a new Space Marine chapter is not easy. It's not easy at all. It takes so much time and effort, right? And that's like common misconception, like why don't Space Marine chapters have Terminator armor? Most chapters will maybe have access to 1 or 2 suits, to be frank. Like they may have enough to outfit the chapter master, maybe captains, maybe like an honor guard. But it's like, it's very common for them just have none. Like there are plenty of times where you meet a like Space Marine chapter and they have no Terminator armor. They may have a Land Raider or 2, right? Because like that shit's expensive, bruh. I ain't gonna hold you. And you know, a Space Marine can kill enough shit. Like a squad of tacticals and a Rhino can fuck up enough shit on its own. Simple as. Ultramarines, the table is getting long. Well, true. Oh, but yeah, that's maybe that. And then next one we want to have. Why is that image so low resolution? I don't know why. That's weird. For an entire squad, yeah. Generally speaking, a Rhino can carry roughly 10 Space Marine dudes. Yeah, usually. But then next up we have the Flesh Terrors. The Flesh Terrors were founded by Nasir Amit, who is known for his violence and struggles with the Red Thirst. Now, this is a second founding chapter, and this goes to show another thing that is really super important when it comes, is that unique characters within legions often founded their own chapters, right? Because picture it like this. You just had the second founding, you need a chapter master, you need a dude to lead it. You're going to pick those who perform the best, right? And remember, after the Siege of Terra, lots of legions were pretty fucked up. So it was the best that's left over, right? I think that's rather important. IIRC, it takes 50 years for founding enough gene seed made by implanting them in volunteers, not to mention Forge Worlds, needing to make them different armor and ships for them. That's why the Iron Hands only have Terminator characters? No, Terminators... The Iron Hands are one of the few legions that do have a full company, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's them and the Salamanders, because they really, really like their Terminator armor. I think that... Don't quote me on this, I don't know this, so this may just be a load of luck. But I think it's safe to say that all the first founding chapters have a lot of Terminator armor. I don't know that they have a full first company, but they have a lot. Why? Because they're the first founding, they get preference, they had a lot left over, they got first pick of the shit when the Legion split up, etc., so on and so forth. Yeah, so Iron Hands do have Terminators. They definitely have enough Terminators. In the Kane books, the Reclamays waste like 3 Terminators. Oh yeah, that's the thing, right? That's a massive, massive point. Losing a suit of Terminator armor is incredibly devastating for like a normal chapter, right? So oftentimes they will sacrifice dudes to go and get it back, because the fact of the matter is, losing a suit of power armor versus losing a suit of Terminator armor is night and day. Like a Space chapter will pretty much be willing to sacrifice a suit of power armor to get a suit of Terminator armor. That's how valuable it is. Nasiramet, the first loyalists to point out demons were in Xenos and they should not approach this like normal Xenos during the Cygnus campaign. I don't know if he's the first, because I know that... what's his name? The Ultramarine Sergeant with the red helmet. He was in No Fear. Ah, damn it. I forget his name. But, I mean, it's possible that he could have pointed out at the same time. I don't know if what happened at Cygnus happened during the Siege of Calth. Roughly the same. Alexis Pollux, the GOAT. Alexis Pollux is indeed the GOAT. Massive chungus of a Space Marine, bro. Bro was as big in regular power armor as other dudes were in Terminator armor. Diabolical, bro. Just massive chungus. Aeonid Thiel, thank you. Appreciate you. Sarah Smith, you're the GOAT, boy. Yeah. Aeonid Thiel. He pointed it out, and he was like, these are not Xenos. This is demons. We gotta stab them. He figured out that the stabby nonsense, way more powerful and potent than like guns and shit. Flamers as well. People often ask like, why is that the case? It's because demons are old And the first weapons that were you fought against demons were fire, swords, blades, weapons like that. So that has all the human emotion behind them in the warp, hence why they're more physically effective in the real space, right? Yeah, but back to Nasir Amit. He struggled with the Red Thirst. He struggled with violence a lot. Famously, he accidentally fell to the Red Thirst and murdered a bunch of spacewalks who were with him. And, you know, there was no action put against him because it said that the shame he bears is action enough, right? That's the idea behind it. But at the end of the day, he was an effective combatant. He was an effective leader, an effective captain. So during the second founding, he was given the chance to make the Flesh Terrors. And then, you know, you take a look at the Flesh Terrors. Why is there no one there? God damn it. Hold on, chat. Alright, hold on, chat. There we go. Alright, don't worry, chat. You saw nothing. You saw nothing. Alright? You didn't see anything. So yeah. The chapter suffers the most from the Blood Angel's curse and regularly kills friendly forces due to this. From what I know, the Iron Hands lack Terminator suits due to Istavan. That would make sense. That would make sense. I've got to go. Have a great stream, General. Hey, SWAT Deeds, appreciate you, my brother. Chat, go and check out SWAT Deeds. If you like Disney content, quality, fucking quality, good guy, great guy, love him, work with him. Go and show some love to my brother. Alright? Appreciate you, my brother. That would make sense. For those who don't know, the Iron Hands rushed to Istavan. So they took, Ferrus Manus took Clan Averni, which was his big Chungus company, filled with heavy armor and lots of Terminator suits. And they just ran with that. Though, I think they would have had enough time to replace that by now, but I don't know much about Iron Hands lore, so I don't quote me on that at all. Black Rage, I thought is what did it. He killed the Space Wolves after Sanguinius died on the Vengeful Spirit. It could have been. But regardless of whether it was the Red Thirst or the Black Rage, he fell to the curse of the Blood Angels, right? And he killed a lot of people for it. Good people, good folks. That was the main issue behind it. And it's one of those things where, you know, because of that, he and a lot of the other violent Blood Angels were formed to this chapter. And because of this, this chapter routinely kills its own boys. There are countless times of like guardsmen, civilians, other space marines, right? But then, despite all this, they're still not excommunicated. They're still a thing. And, you know, the question is like, why? And that's because, like, well, they are effective. And it's one of those things where the Flesh Rivers are a perfect example of existing despite of lore. And I don't know where their lore stands at the current point, for the sole fact that when they got the Primaris, they were very skeptical of them. You know, it's one of those things where the current chapter master, I forget his name, he was kind of a dick, I'm not gonna lie. He's like, you know, I will not become Gilliman's sons in red. You know, I don't care what Dante says, I'm the chapter master. It's like, bro, your chapter was literally dying. I guess you don't, like, Sanguinius never liked the Black Rage. He hated it. So I'm like, you know, you're kind of dumb, I won't lie. They prefer not to work with other Imperial forces if I remember correctly. Yeah, no, 100%. They're like, stay away from us, we're probably gonna murder you. But it's like, looking at like Nasir, like the current chapter master, Gabriel Seth, that was his name. Looking at Gabriel Seth being like, oh, the Primaris are going to sully our bloodline. Like, my brother in Christ, this is a good thing, right? Like, I get the whole, I don't want to become Ultramarines in red. I fully understand that, but it's like, he goes on about like how the Black Rage is like part of us. I'm like, yeah, but Sanguinius nearly got possessed by a demon to get that shit away. So there's that. I ain't gonna lie. I thought the Flesh Sharers were summoned when Ball was utterly devastated by Tyrants. They were. They would definitely do that. They were part of the Brothers of the Blood that was summoned. And yeah, basically, like, I think it's like 30,000 Blood Angels were there, if I remember correctly. 30,000 chapters, something like that. Gabriel said, Gilliman is trying to make us Ultramarines in red. Also ended up accepting Primaris after it was that they suffered from the same flaws. I guess that's just his character flaw, but it's something that always bugged me a little bit. Because it's like, is it a character flaw or is it being done? Or is it him being dumb, rather, right? But I mean, him being dumb could just be a character flaw. That makes perfect sense. You know, I get that, right? Makes sense. But yeah, it's like, this Successor chapter takes something that is core to the Blood Angels, like a core aspect which is, you know, trying to stave off the Black Rage and the Red Thirst. It takes it and it amplifies it to a drastic level. Why? Because the people who were formed with this chapter in mind were those who were affected, a la Nasir Amit. So it makes sense that these guys would have it the worst. And it really goes to show that you can take something that is core to a legion, like the Blood Angels Red Curse, but it's like, what if the Blood Angels were constantly falling to the Red Thirst and the Black Rage? Well, here's the Flesh Terrors, a perfect example. It also allows you to take what-if scenarios that are common, and like, hey, what if the Ultramarines really liked melee? You know, you have the Emperor's Spears, right? What if the Imperial Fist had to develop speed? You know, there's a chapter for that. What if the White Swords had to be defensive? So on, and so forth. And that's the reason why you only see captains or higher-ranking members of the chapter who turn absolutely correctly. That's completely it. Because, like, a chapter may have a few suits of Terminator's armor laying around, so you give it to the important boys, right? Officers, librarians, chaplains, etc. That makes sense. You know, it's one thing that really does go to show how ambitious the Imperium was that the Emperor wanted to outfit basically all the legions with like Terminator plates at one point. That was like something that he wanted to do. And it's like, wow, the Emperor had plans. But you know, I covered that in my latest video about the Emperor and his plans and all that. Go and watch it, by the way. A lot of y'all didn't really seem to be that too interested in it, but kind of set up a lot of work into that. And quality voice acting. So hey, go check it out after the stream if you got a chance. I just want a Successor Chimera of Night Lords and Blood Angels. Maybe call them something Blood Knights or something. Okay. That is another thing that a lot of people get a misconception with. Chimeric gene seed is not really a thing. It is very, 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 very rare. Why? Because gene seed is meant to work individually. It's meant to work on its own. So, if you take two gene seeds and you smush them together, they will not blend together. They will make issues. They will change, they will mutate, and oftentimes it will end in a bastardization or corruption of the gene seed. Because with, for example, Blood Angel's gene seed has an overactive omeophagia gland. Whereas with the Night Lord's gene seed, its melachroma is not working. Meaning if you blend those two together, the two melachromas will not coerce with one another. They will smash up and they will wreck each other, right? And then if you take the like omeophagia and you put that with the Night Lords, there we go. It will mush and confuse, which is why. But I want it. Like, you can definitely have it. Like, you can make that homebrew, but just like, I have no problem with you doing that as homebrew. But I need you to know that, hey, this is something that could not translate well into 40k. Right, that's one thing. So, by all means, hey, I love the idea of Blood Knights. It's literally just Blood Knights from Warhammer Fantasy as Space Marines. I'll fuck with that. I'll fuck with that heavy. But I want you just to understand. Is that why the Curse Founding was so bad? Allegedly. We don't really know. It's believed that the Curse Founding could have just been Zeech trying to fuck with the Admech. But that's the chaosy thingy, but the other thingy is that, yeah, it could just be messing with Gene Seed is bad. Bro, what your latest video is honestly my favorite you've done. I love how you covered the Emperor and even left a comment. I appreciate you, brother. But hey, it's not really for everyone. You know, the Emperor is an idiot. I wouldn't say that. I'd say the Emperor was arrogant, right? He was human. The Emperor thought that he could do it all. He thought he was Timothy. And to be fair, when you're the strongest person of an entire race in like 30,000 years, be honest, we'd all be a little arrogant, right? He did fuck up though, but his greatest flaw was that he was arrogant. He was human. He took a gamble. He was like, I can do all of it, everything, all at the same time. Lo and behold, homie could not do it. Homie could not. Homie fumbled it. But hey, he gave it a good chance, alright? I mean, if he just treats his sons like sons instead of tools, we wouldn't have this problem. But yeah. Let me just reach out a little bit. That's why the Grey Knights, having them is so different. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Grey Knights having like their whole chapter outfitted in Terminator armor, massive bonus. Massive, huge, ginormous. Zinch and Alpha Legion pranking with Gene Seed, that would be funny. I won't lie, that would be hella funny if one of the reasons why the Curse founding fucked up was the Alpha Legion just fucked with the Gene Seed. Oh, getting my table. Sorry, guys. With the Dark Angels having over 100 Terminator suits for an entire company and Nova Marines, that's what makes them so special, right? I don't know if the Dark Angels and Nova Marines do in fact have 100 Terminators for the first company. I don't. If they do, that would make them very special. The Dark Angels do have a lot because of their Deathwing, but I don't know. I mean, if they do, yeah, that would definitely make sure. But it's one of those things like, I don't know, man. But yeah, Terminator armor, very rare. Didn't they do that to the Raven God? What did they do to the Raven God? Like fuck with the GC? Oh yeah, the Raptor project, right? Is that what you mean? El Beckons? I'm waiting for a reply, by the way, that's why I'm just not talking. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, the Raptors were Korvix. So after Isavan, the Raven God kind of fucked, ain't gonna lie. Little bit in a bad state, you know? So Corvus was like, I need to replace my boys, you know? So he created the Raptor project, and it went swimmingly. The problem is, there was some, I think I got a delay. Probably, that's just stream slowing down automatically, because they do that with chats. It was going well until a little bit of chaos corruption. I don't remember who did it. I think it was Zinch. Don't quote me on that. I think it was Zinch. But he basically saw what was going on and was like, hippity hoppity, I'm gonna turn this into my property. Tentacle magic! And kind of just fucked everything up. There is a really heart-wrenching excerpt where Corvus has to kill a bunch of raptors. And it's rough. It is rough. Yeah, but the Raptor project was going very well until all of that chaos shenaniganery occurred. So it's like, it's a yikes. It's also an unfortunate. It's also a big sag. F in chat for the Raptors. Yeah, Corvus is actually an interesting Primarch in Warhammer 40k. Mainly because, well, in the story of the Heresy, a lot of it can be the Primarchs maturing. You know, Gilliman did that, Russ did that, Perturabo especially did that. I guess he Corax a little bit? They've done it before, I think. There is that one story where they turned a chapter's recruits into their own agents, projects. Oh, yes! Yes, they did do that. I think it was the black console? The white consoles or black consoles, one of the two. Essentially what they did is that they infected the recruits of the planets, right? They poisoned the planet supply with a hypnotic toxin that got into their bloodstream. And they did this for generations. So they were already like hypnotized with the Alpha Legion's Cold Wood as soon as they got out of the womb. So when they were picked up by the red consoles, not the red, whatever consoles, right? When they were picked up by him, All of them grew up first. Ah! Sorry, Iron Hands fans. I have to do it, you know. I should say something clever, but he got decapitated. Lamau. Ferris should have had a living metal neck. He really should have. Yeah, but back to the Alpha Legion. They infected all their dudes, and basically they spent like generations, like hundreds of years planning the downfall of this Space Marine chapter. And in one day, they annihilated all their chapter. There were 5 companies that were out and about. One that was on a Space Hulk. They sent the Space Hulk into the warp. One that was fighting the Tau. They led an Orc war to destroy them. There was another that was like traveling through the webway. They like summoned a demon that fucked with the Gellerfields, and you know, the few chapters on their main home world, they flipped the switch, and then all the Space Marines turned on each other because they were implanted from birth, as well as all the chapter serfs. It was pretty wild. It's one of my favorite bits of Alpha Legion lore because it's incredibly complex and methodical, but it doesn't make you want to tear your fucking hair out. This is the biggest issue with like Alpha Legion lore. You know, like, oh, this is a lie. This happened. This didn't happen. Did this happen? And I'm like, I need something. I need something. I need something, if anything. Let me just move this mic. Just to get a better sound quality now that I'm looking directly at the camera. It's a rule a day, lost his head choke one a day. Zine should have gone with Alfara instead of Magnus. Ooh. That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. Would a chapter homebrew with nearly 1,500 be problematic? I mean, yes and no, right? Because it's like, could you get away with it? Yeah. You know, there's definitely loopholes, but I need you to understand, if the Inquisition ever learns that you have more than 1,000, oh, you're getting touched, my boy. You're getting absolutely touched immediately. So, but there are many different ways to do it. Like, oh no, we have like 1,000 active Marines, but we have, you know, garrison battle brothers. But again, it's like, if the Inquisition finds out, you're cooked. So you can do it technically, but you are playing with fire. You can have a lot of scouts. You can have a lot of scouts. You can 100% have a lot of scouts. So the Alpha Legion can be effective. Oh yeah, definitely. Alpha Legion is, when written correctly, arguably the most effective Legion. Unless you're the Black... Yeah. The Black Templars are basically the definition of cracking the code. Because it's a loophole like, oh, we're on a crusade. And this is our crusade. It's different. Don't look at it too closely. Also, them being a second founding chapter gives them a lot of clout. Also, the fact that they're fucking crazy and probably might kill an Inquisitor if they found out. That also works. You think an army of enthralled mages are his legion? I think you're talking about Magnus and the Caissons, right, Elbeckins? Because if you are, a lot of the mages aren't enthralled, right? Magnus has one of the most put-together legions. I think the only one who has a more put-together legion is Mr. Peter Turbo, who is out and about in 40k, by the way. He came back out of the Eye of Terror, and he's actually mature. Thank fuck. My boy, the Dutch 40k, he did a lore video about it. Go and check it out after this stream. It dropped today. He's a big fan of the channel, big helper of the channel, massive brother to me. Go and check him out. W chap. Also, Inquisitors will probably never see more than 1,000 Black Templars in one place since they have so many Crusade fleets going on. Yeah, completely. Well, they're dust now, aren't they? Only the Rubric Marines. Only the Rubrics are dust. The rest of the sorcerers are just flesh and blood blokes. You know, that was the whole point of the Rubric of Ahriman. It transformed all of the weaker Thousand Sons into dust. The rest was still up and at 'em. I thought the word bearers were still pretty organized. Oh yeah, no, word bearers as well, right? Word bearers are also very organized. It's not a case, when I said that, I meant like they are, not like they aren't. But then you have something like the world eaters, really unorganized. Can the Alpha Legion infiltrate the Salamanders because of the fire site? Can they replicate that? In theory, the Alpha Legion could infiltrate any Legion, in theory. It's probably unlikely with the first Founding Boys because... Death Guard as well, 100%. It's probably unlikely with the first Founding chapters because they remember the bullshit of the heresy, or they know more about the Alpha Legion than most, so... In theory, they could, but it's unlikely. Imagine the Alpha Legion trying to infiltrate the Death Guard. That would be funny. That would be very funny. Alright, let's go on to our next slide. God damn it. Alright, next up, the Sons of Medusa. The Sons of Medusa are an Iron Hand Successor chapter, and they were born out of the Morai Schism, which is essentially an Iron Hand civil war. And for the longest time, they were considered to be Renegade Marines, right? Because they were just dissidents of the chapter. World Eaters, Night Lords, Death Guard are pretty shattered. The Sons of Horus are the only legion to be truly dead, though. Yeah, I talked about that in my Sons of Horus video. Like, the Lunar Wolves and Sons of Horus were just dead. They're just gone. The Black Legion is not a successor to them. It is an amalgamation of everyone who didn't want to be part of their parent legions. It's its own unique thing. It doesn't have anything similar to the Sons of Horus in any way, shape, or form. Sons of Medusa, aka the better Iron Hands. I don't know much about them, to be fair, but yeah, OG Iron Hands are not good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. GW does not like the Iron Hands. They really don't. They're always the assholes in anything that they do, and it's really just sad. Like, this is a first Founding Successor chapter. Why are they assholes? Right? Iron Hands are just dicks. They're just dicks. Just bad. The Black Legion is the cool kids club? That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, but the, so, little TLDR of the Sons of Medusa, there was something called the Moray Schism, right? And the Moray Schism was a civil war within the Iron Hands. You'd be surprised how many civil wars there happened in first Founding chapters, by the way. They have the coolest reason to make a successor? I find that hard to disagree with, because that's pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty badass. Yeah, but basically the Schism of Morai was a bunch of Iron Hands coming together. And they were like, okay, the flesh is weak, but why is it weak? You had those who thought that, emotion is evil, it must be purged, and you had those who said otherwise. And basically, all those who wanted to disagree with that, they just left. There was no, big civil war. They just dipped, right? And because of that, these guys were considered sort of renegades. They weren't really Iron Hands, because they were, offshoots of the chapter. They were in limbo for, I think it was hundreds or thousands of years, one of the two, right? So, yeah, they just existed. They went around helping the Imperium as a Space Marine chapter, but they were just in their own thing. Until eventually the High Lords of Terra and the Iron Hands recognized them as their own successor chapter, because by the time that the Moray Schism had healed, they'd basically become their own unique thing. So it was something completely different. And, what I really like about this is that it shows that successor chapters can have a reason. It allows for storytelling, right? I find that so incredibly awesome. Hey, there was a difference of thought in between a parent chapter. So the renegades, the others, they split off and they eventually founded their own chapter. It's like a successor kingdom to an empire. I think that's amazing. That is so incredibly and utterly badass. It's so great. Also, if I remember correctly, these guys are going to be in like the new Astartes thingy, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's interesting. And I just love the idea behind them. It's really epic. Really, really epic. My homebrew works in the Crusade company that have at least 360 Marines, which they have 4 and are fleet-based. Oh, interesting. So, yeah, you're using the Black Templars loophole of it's a Crusade. Yeah, fair enough. The Iron Hands are so mean because they have generational trauma for having their dad killed and best friend and their uncle. They also got absolutely gutted on Istvan. Yeah, no, I covered that a lot in my Iron Hands video. Fun fact though, the Iron Hands actually suffered the least of all the 3 legions. Not on Istvan. On Istvan, they suffered the worst, but as a whole, they suffered the least. Why is that? It's because Ferris was so piss off mad at Fulgrim is that he rushed ahead with only 2/3 of his legion. 1/3 was still gathering behind, whereas the other 2 legions had their bulk with them. So it's a weird thing of on Istvan, they suffered the most, out of Istvan, they suffered the least. Interesting. I really like that little detail. Are the guys that want to get better like their Primarch wanted them to be? I don't know. I don't think these guys have gotten any new lore relatively recently. Don't really know. I don't really know much about them. Yeah, there hasn't really been much lore on Successors recently, if ever, I think. The Moray Schism had the whole Mechanicus heresy too, with tech priests on Moray believing they could predict the future by fluctuations in the Astronomicon. Yeah, the Moray Schism is also something that extends to Mechanicus. The Iron Hands and Mechanicus are very, very closely linked together, for obvious reasons. So yeah, them also having the issue makes perfect sense as well. Yeah, we saw some Sons of Medusa shooting Tau self-suits. Yeah, I gotta go. Hey, appreciate you, brother. Hope you had a solid workout. God bless and take care. Good luck in the stream, brother. Good luck with your life. I appreciate you, brother. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. To everyone watching, thank you guys. I appreciate you. I wanted to do streaming because I wanted to engage in the community a lot more. It felt like that's the one thing that I hadn't been doing as a content creator. So I'm like, you know, I want to engage in the community a lot more, right? I want you guys to come around here to feel like you can talk to me, just engage a little more. The Discord is coming. The Discord is coming this week. Promise. Promise, promise. It is coming. All right, don't worry. Yeah, Sons of Medusa though, I love that, just the way that they were created, right? And it shows that founding Space Marines are not a concrete thing. They're not a concrete thing at all. They are unique, they exist in their own way, shape and form, and it's just, it goes to show just the uniqueness of 40k. Like, for lack of a better word. It's super duper unique, and it just, it's great, man. I love it. I love it. And then our final example we have are the Charnel Guard. The Charnel Guard were founded by Blood Angel Dominion known as Xenophon, and they have a lot of relic vehicles and technology. They are a 3rd founding Successor chapter. They are confirmed to have Storm Raven gunships and Fellblade super heavy tanks. Again, this is what I'm saying of like, hey, you know, it's a lot easier to say that this has this and that when they're from the 2nd and 3rd founding, but also it's a lot easier to maintain and use like super heavy vehicles and flyers than Terminator armor, because it's relatively easy to kill Terminator armor in the grand scheme of things, like a Fellblade cannon against Terminator armor. Yeah, not gonna do too good. Just install Deathwing. Solid game, fun game. What was your first legion? I'm gonna go with Iron Warriors. My first legion, Salamanders. I mean, I am the Salamander guy. We need art, James Workshop. Dude. GW produces so much art, yet at the same time so little art, it's unfunny. It's diabolical. Are Fellblades like super rare? Yes. Yes, they are. Fellblades and Space Marine super heavies are very rare. Why is that the case? Because when you get the transformation of a legion into chapter, you go from needing to be a all-around military force, so being able to do sieges and like fighting in all types of warfare, to being essentially special forces, right? You gotta move hard, you gotta move quick, you gotta move fast, right? Which is like, technically, the Space Marines don't have a main battle tank. They have the Predator, but the Predator's main thing is speed, and it has an autocannon. Now, yes, you do have the Annihilator variant with a bunch of las cannons, but again, speed, firepower, it's not like a main battle tanky tank. It's not like a Kratos or a Sicarius or a Fellblade. Those are stuff that you get in the Legions, by the way, during the Horus Heresy. So, yeah, it's one of those things where Fellblades are indeed very, very rare. Yeah, well, if you aren't... Yeah, well, if you aren't the Offsprings of Space Wolves, you get the scraps of "Oh Right, You Exist." Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong. I think you gotta throw in Blood Angels as well in there. Maybe like Black Templars as well. It's unfortunate, but it is true. I feel like we may need to end up seeing a Fellblade concept become reality, and it's not a bad tank design. You mean like IRL? Yeah, we have the Repulsor Executioner now for the Stress. That is something that Gilliman changed. You notice that there is a change in the Ultima Founding, is the fact that the Legions sort of need to come back, or rather, Legion-size formations, right? Because during the Sicta Dix Maledictum, there was just so many fucking Heretic Astartes, and it's like the Legions returned, and a regular Space Marine Legion could not fight a chapter, rather a regular Space Marine Loyalist chapter could not fight off that force. The only thing that could fight against Legion tactics were Legion tactics, which is why we get things like the Infernus Marines and the Hellblasters, right? Support squads are going from being 1 Marine to 10 Marine again. And that's very important because scale is just much bigger now. That's a big thing that happened. I can't even make a full Salamander Successors team because a third of them don't have art. Yeah. Though, to be fair, at least now you can make a Salamander Successor. Back in the day, there weren't any Salamander Successors, or any confirmed ones, because the Salamanders were just too small to have successors, right? It's just one of those things. But with Primaris, at least you can do that now. Well, I like track super heavies more. I do agree with that. Actually, the Fellblade is based off an IRL tank, surprisingly enough. Yeah, the Soviets made a double-barreled tank, and if you take a look at it and the Fellblade, it's pretty similar. I forget what the name is called, but you can look it up. Seeing how they did the Blood Angels update and how they gutted the Blood Angels power in HH, I don't think GW likes the Bloody Boys anymore. That's fair. Bro, they took away my nipples. What the fuck? Fucking armored nipples. Where my armored nips go, bro? Like where my armored nips go? You just go take like fucking Lamau, no nipples for you anymore. Like, what I do? Really? Yeah, really. I think it's based on the IS series. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, the Soviets did make a double-barrel tank with like a rounded hull design, and yeah, it exists. It's fucking wild. The Soviets made a lot of wild shit, bro. They made a lot of wild shit. If everything is a fucking Russian death fridge. Diabolically monstrous. Diabolically monstrous. Oh, there we go. Back to the front. Actually, let me just do that. There we go. No nips, no armored belly button. It really is an outrage. I'm not gonna lie. Death Company is just paint them black and yeah. Yeah, the range refresh. Do you know what annoys me about the range refresh? They took away the wings from the Sangard, right? But if you take a look at the Sanguinor model, they sculpted wings for that, meaning they already had the mold for wings. So why not just take that mold and put it on the fucking mold for the Sanguinary God? Like, why do it the way that you do? Oh yeah, post World War I, pre World War II tanks. So well, that interwar period, because that's the word that you're looking for, diabolical, absolutely diabolical. Do the Dark Krakens have Primaris? The Dark Krakens are a Salamander's Primaris exclusive chapter created during the Ultima Founding, so they only have Primaris. Yeah, exactly what Krink said. The Dark Krakens are an Ultima Founding chapter, so they only have Primaris. Yeah, so it's one of those things where they gave Sangha to the intern. They really did, bro. They gutted Sangha so bad. Sangha God were one of the most best looking models ever, and they just made them so generic. So generic. I looked it up. It's the ST-2 for the Soviet tank. It was post-war and early. Yeah, Soviets made a lot of weird shit, man. A lot of weird shit. Yeah, but chat, just looking at it, there's a bunch of other, like, Successor chapters that exist. They're awesome, they're amazing, I love them as a whole. To kind of conclude on the main points, Successor chapters not only give you, as the player, a chance to make your own chapter and to customize it however you want, and it gives you that opportunity to experiment with paint schemes and to just give it flavor and fluff. You could make it something truly and utterly unique, right? But then it's the question of, like, in terms of lore, you get these unique things that are ultramarine, right? They are White Skull, they are Salamander, but they're unique because of where they are. The Dark Krakens are a perfect example. Salamanders love fire, love flames. They have an ocean world, so they're monster hunters. We're like fucking Krakens and shit. It's perfect. I love it. Salamanders, but water flavored. It's mental, but it's great. I adore Successor chapters. I adore what they mean, and I feel like people don't really understand just how important they are, how independent they are, and yeah, I love them. I love them. I'm a massive fan of them. They're one of my favorite things in all of Warhammer 40k. Is just the fact that you can have something so unique. If there's anything I'd have to change, to be honest, right? If there's anything that I'd have to, like, truly change, it would be that Successor chapters are more than just 1,000 men. That's the main thing. Favorite Successor? That's a tough one. I really like the Emperor's Spears a lot, because they're melee Ultramarines. You know, it goes to the pigeon. It really does go to the thing of, like, you know, hey, they're unique, right? So I do love and appreciate that a lot. I discovered a new fun word yesterday, and I didn't make it up. Soyalist? Never heard that word before a day in my life. No idea what it means. Alright, so are they calling Loyalists soy boys? Maybe. Alright. But chat, that's basically all I wanted to talk with. What I will do is, for the last little bit of the stream, I will accept questions. If you guys have any questions about Loyalists or Successors or fucking anything, really, fucking throw them and let's talk about it. Soy Loyalist? Yeah, I thought as much. Hey, Mr. Andrew, how you doing, brother? Yeah, we're just wrapping up. If you got a question, throw it to me. Any question about anything. You know, but I really do love Successors. It's... do you think Vashtor could have been the cause of the Iron Rebellion? Unlikely. It's not impossible, but the Iron Rebellion is something that is exclusive to, like, the Dark Age. So it's like, that is something that is unique, because remember, in the Dark Age, there is the Dark Age technology and its own entities, which are separate from Chaos, because the Chaos really gets its shit going with the birth of Slaanesh. It always existed before that, but it really got shit going during the never imagined you'd have a full Rokudo TTS mustache, Lamau. Yeah, I got that stash. It isn't even waxed today because I was feeling lazy, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's possible, but I don't think so. I also don't really like it. I like the fact that the Iron Rebellion is something that humanity did on its own. And it's like, oh, we fucked up a lot, right? We had a big fuck up, but then chaos just came at the right time. Because that is very human, to make a mistake even worse. So, to wrap it up, plausible, not likely. Have you seen Omita Ian's video on the Emperor's motivations? He said the biggest thing needed was speed for the Xenos. Like, even with their speed, the Rangda and the Orcs were a problem. Imagine slower. Speed was definitely a thing for the Emperor. I don't really think it was because of the Xenos. The Emperor is explicitly stated in Master of Mankind, humanity is becoming a psychically powerful race like the Eldar, and if we are left to our own devices, we will have the psychic death like the Eldar, but ours will be worse, because I think the exact quote is, you know, each Eldar soul was a fire in the warp, but for each humans will be a raging flame, or something like that. Yeah, but that was the main reason why. So speed was definitely a thing. Wasn't because of the Xenos. It was because the Emperor wanted to shove us all into the webway. Is there a successor chapter that surpassed its parent chapter? In terms of lore, I don't know. I don't think so. In terms of popularity, yeah. The Crimson Fists and the Black Templars are way more popular than the Imperial Fists. I don't know if they're also more effective in lore. I don't know. The Black Templars, maybe? I really don't know. But yeah, in terms of... There are definitely some successor chapters that have surpassed their parent chapter in some way. Like, the Angels of Absolution have surpassed the Dark Angels in the fact that they, surprise, don't hate each other. They aren't dicks, and they're just regular nice chaps. You know, there's that. Yeah, you know, it depends. How rare is a Volkite gun in 40k for a Space Marine chapter? Before Primaris, ultra super rare. After Primaris, not that rare. Pretty common actually, because one thing that Call did, he introduced Neo-Volkite technology. He basically revived the Volkite technology, or the STC, to create them. Yeah, so Volkite and Neo-Volkite, yeah. Yeah, so it's super there. It's not as rare as it was. But yeah, it's pretty common now. Sorry if this is off topic, no worries, brother. But whatever happened to the Necromunda series? Ah, that. Damn, you've been here a long time, my boy. Truth be told, it didn't really get as much traction as I wanted. And it just kind of fell apart. That was before I was super serious and super professional about about YouTube, so it just kind of fell apart. I may look into it into the future. Unlikely, but I'm definitely going to do another Necromunda video, but about the whole series, I don't know. I may just do a super big long, like, hour-plus episode covering all the different gangs, maybe. But this was Speed was irrelevant when it came to Xenos? Yeah, kinda. Well, the Psychic Death almost happened because of the Emperor. It's classic Foresight nonsense and the Dark King. Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely do agree with that. It's one of those things where the Emperor... Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. The Emperor did kind of nearly cause it with the Dark King, but that's only because he didn't factor in the human nature to fuck shit up in chaos. So, yeah. Sorry, chat. Also, fun fact, the Hulkin performance was at a meeting with Eldrad, another Eldar, even the ones from Komara, and the play was The End and the Death, and was the story of the Dark King. Huh. More you know. That makes sense. I like that. That's nice. Personal theory. When it comes to soul-bearing species, no longer they exist, the more profound they are connected to the warp. Xenos were hit worse than humanity when it came to consumption during Old Night. Or corruption, rather. I like that theory. I do. The warp is something that is emotion-based. The longer you exist, the more emotions you have. And yeah, the warp does work on emotions. So I really do appreciate it. This is one of the reasons for the kill on sight orders from the Emperor, even if there was a vassal option. Yeah, the Emperor's main shtick was just speed. He didn't care who, what, when, where, or why. He was like, speed is key. I'm doubling up on this shit. I'm making this fast as fuck, boy. Speed, boy. Speed, 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 speed. That's all that the Emperor cared about. He didn't care about anything else at all. Are you gonna do more homebrew shorts? Unlikely. Probably not. I'm not opposed to doing homebrew on the channel. The issue with that though is that like it's kind of hard to get in contact with the creator of the homebrew. That's the main thing. So it's like, you know, I don't want to like cover his shit and then him get upset about me covering it. So that's the main issue. Funny because the longer I exist, the less emotion I feel. I feel that in my bones, let me tell you what. God damn it, growing up is a fucking piece of shit, I tell you what. I hope you had a chance to bring Necromunda back to the channel, even just one video. Thanks for answering my question. I've been wondering about that for a long time. Thank you, brother. Thank you, my friend, for being here. I appreciate you. I get to do this shit because of you, motherfuckers. So, y'all being here, I love you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you also very much. Did the Dark Age Human Empire ever fight the Eldar Empire? Do we have any idea what nonsense would have happened in that kind of battle? I think that the Eldar knew of them. I think it was... we don't really have much concrete stuff, except Dark Age technology humanity was very, very, very strong. So they probably had a non-aggression pact, mutual disdain, but like not killy. I don't know. Maybe, but I really don't know. Will you do a stream for Successor Traitor Warbands? No, because let me tell you what. It's because there are no differences with like Traitor Warbands. Traitor Warband, that's why I kind of included a little slide with them today. Traitor Warbands are anything and everything under the sun. There is no rhyme, rule, or reason. Their legions were shattered way before this. They're just anything and everything. Right? They're anything and everything. That's the whole idea about Traitor Warbands. So there's not really much to explain. Traitor Warbands can and will be fucking anything. So they can and are fucking anything. So yeah, there's not really much misconceptions about those boys. Yeah, but I'm definitely gonna do more streams like this. I do enjoy this, and y'all seem to really like this. So, you know, if you guys have any things that you can talk about, something like this where it's a bit abstract, right? But something that I can really engage you guys, I'd love, by all means, for you guys to see that. This VOD will disappear, don't worry. Do not worry. It will be uploaded onto the VOD channel. I will make a community post where you can find the VOD channel. Don't worry. Why am I doing that? Because YouTube Meta and all that nonsense. It's more effective for the channel. Yeah. Second reason, I believe it was most common Xenos races were leftover war species created for the heaven. Eldari, Orcs, Rangda, Jakero, Clerk, yeah. I mean the traitor warbands of the loyalty. Ooh, that might be a video idea, actually. That actually might be a solid video idea. I'm gonna make that into a video. Because there's not really much to discuss about that with like people here. But I like that for a video idea. Thank you for that, by the way. From the Xenos Cabal. Yeah, the Cabal is one of those things that's super interesting. It's kind of flushed out. It's just the whole John Grammaticus situation is crazy. It's annoying. I don't like it. But yeah, I don't got much to say about the Cabal because I don't know much about them and I don't like them. So I'm not really interested in learning more. To be frank, you know, I'm just being honest here, Chief. So do you really think the whole thing with Xenos wasn't as much as an issue to the Emperor as a psychic awakening? I think that if they went slower, there'd be more rank-sized threats. Well, oh yeah, but here's the thing with that, right? yes, there would be more chance for Xenos to combine together, right? But it's the thing of the Emperor would also have more time to invest in making better shit, right? Remember, the Emperor did everything that he did with as fast as fuckboy in mind. If he slowed down, if he had time to build up more stuff, if he dedicated more resources to the manufacturing of the legions and all that, the Emperor could have handled anything. If the Emperor went slower, he could have handled anything. But for the Emperor's worry was like, oh no, there's some bullshit coming, I need to stop it quickly. It was definitely the anxiety of humanity and the arrogance of humanity that doomed him ultimately. Bread means 10 chapters of Fall into Chaos. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I think what I'll do is the loyalist parts of legions that fell traitor during the heresy, because there are like loyalist legions, elements of loyalist legions that became traitor. I think that'd be a really fun video idea. So, you know, I'll write that down. Maybe I'll even do it this week. Who knows? Let me just check the time. Yeah, chat. Any other questions, chat? Also, I promise I will get more music for the next stream. I kind of ran out of time prepping for this stream, so we're stuck on one track. There's a Space Wolf Traitor Warband. There is, I think. Or there was. I don't remember. I don't really care much for the wolves, to be frank. I like my Salamanders, I like my Ultramarines, simple as. Will you do Battletech again? Yes, but not on this channel. With the way that YouTube works, it is a lot better to do separate topics for separate channels, so that way it doesn't affect the algorithm. So I will do Battletech content again. I will. BTW, I left a comment in your last video, and I think you'd like it if you didn't see it. You know what, I will try and find that. No promises, because I get a lot of comments, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used to reply to each one I get, but it's too many at this point for me to go. There's a joke that all Xenos are evil because we killed the good ones, but in a galaxy where Elder, Orcs, and God Emperor preserve us from whatever else. I like that joke a little bit, because it's like, oh no, why do so many Xenos hate humanity so much? Well, because we kind of killed a bunch of them. It's like the sins of the father passed on to the son. That's something that I really do like. Can you really be surprised that the peaceful, paciful Xenos didn't make it? Nah. Favorite Sally successor? Ooh, tough one. I really like the Dark Krakens. I really, really do like the Dark Krakens. I really do. The whole fiery dragons on a water planet, so you turn into a water dragon. I vibe with that so much, not gonna lie. Do you think Primaris is coming to the traitors, and will they make them look sleeker, or will it look good if they did? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But the thing is, though, I think GW does this on purpose so that there is more stuff visually distinct between Loyalist and Heretic, other than being one has spikes and one doesn't. Because the silhouette of a Primaris Loyalist is so unique to a Chaos Legionary. It really cements it in one's head. The Las Rifles kill almost anything, but we've killed all the Xenos that die to Las Rifles. You know what? That's fair. I like that. There's a lot of logic going on here, but 40k and logic, not really the same thing, but hey, you know, it is what it is. All right, chat, we're going to be closing off now. So final batch of questions. Final batch of questions could be anything underneath the sun. Final round. Where are you going to do Battletech? I will make a Battletech channel, and there will be an announcement for that. I do have a Lord of the Rings channel. I haven't forgotten about it. I have several videos recorded. I just need to get them edited out. I'm doing all this by myself, so it's hard. So, be free with your boy. Logic is boring. Logic is boring, but it's also effective. I agree. I think the Loyalists being new and clean versus ragged and decrepit with evil powers, yeah, it's a much more visually authentic way to separate them at a glance. What was your biggest Warhammer misconception? Mine was that Warsmith, Iron Warrior, and Warpsmith were the same thing. My biggest misconception? That's a good one, actually. I think my biggest misconception was probably the fact that not all Space Marines have a company of 100 dudes of Terminator armor. I think that was, for the longest time, that was a massive misconception that I had. I thought that they did. Turns out I didn't realize how rare Terminator armor was. I think that was it. Friendship is magic and magic is heresy. Chaplain Grumpy is 27th Black Templar feat. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just the Terminator thing as well. Yeah, I think. What is your favorite character? Vulcan. Cop-out answer? Maybe. Truthful answer? Yes. I'm a salamander dude. I love Vulcan. I love my big, thick, chunky black hammer, man. Gotta love Vulcan. I'm a salamander, bro. I love it. I love salamanders. They're my favorite. Vulcan is my favorite Primarch. Yeah. Nah, I love it. I love it. I love me salamanders. Simple as, my boy. I want to see Vulcan versus Purdy. That'd be fun. Thank you for the stream. Thank you guys for being here. Honestly, I'm excited to see more Purdy coming back. The next Loyalist Primarch that's going to be coming back is probably going to be Russ, because they removed his unique weapon from the Space Marines Codex. It's the same thing they did with the Lion, and Gilliman, so maybe. Excuse me. Dragons stay winning. W. Love me dragons, simple as. Vulcan, I love Vulcan, love salamanders. They're just, God, my favorite legion, bro. Favorite fucking legion. Love them so goddamn much. So great. Yeah, but if that's the last of the questions, then we're gonna wrap up the stream. Thank you guys so very much. We're gonna try and be streaming every Friday and every Sunday. I want to get this more into like community stuff with you guys, to provide you guys more content, and yeah, just, I don't know, try and be better, try and do better for you guys. I want to try and take this a lot more seriously in the next coming years, and I feel like becoming a more holistic YouTube content creator will really help with that. My biggest misconception and popular opinion that Sanguinius is a good guy, leaving his people on ball to swim in radiation. At least Varys was honest. I get it. I also get that he didn't want them into the... Nobody's perfect, but Sanguinius is definitely one of the better Primarchs. Be well, and may Nurgle not bless you this week. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you for the stream. Thank you guys for being here, man. I love you and appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the channel. If you guys can, like when I do these streams, share them around. I really appreciate that. Like, you guys sharing the video in like Discord servers or wherever does so much and means more to me than you will ever understand. Now, I love and appreciate you guys, but hell, even if you guys are just like here, it means the world to me. No one is good in 40k, everyone is bad, like really bad. There are no good factions in 40k, but there are good characters. They're all good characters. Because that's what a lot of people don't understand about 40k, is that if everyone was evil, everyone would enjoy being evil, and then 40k would be boring. The point of 40k is struggling, the little bit of flame flickering in the grim darkness of the far future. Right, that's the whole point of it. So there are good people. There are no good factions. There are good people, though. Even the Tau are good. The Tau are definitely not good. No, that's me. Where are you? Where are you? Bingo. There you go. Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much for watching. I have been the General Bradley 101. You've been beautiful, awesome, and amazing people. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you guys for coming to the stream. And let me know what else you guys want in the future. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been the General Bradley 101. Y'all been amazing, awesome. And y'all make sure to say hello out there, boys and gals, and take care of yourselves.